So welcome to the webinar today. This is the Digital Fundraising for Beginners. It's the Christmas edition, and we'll be going through a step-by-step guide in how to build a successful campaign. My name is Tamara Rosenthal's. I'm the marketing manager here at GiveEasy, and I'm thrilled to walk you through how to run a successful campaign specifically for Christmas. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to walk through a couple of solutions for you, but I will give you a little bit of background. So just one moment, I'm just waiting for my screen to adjust. There it goes. So GiveEasy is a digital marketing platform, digital fundraising platform, and we make donating to charity really easy. We know that some charities may not have set up for Christmas just as yet. I just want to assure you that there's plenty of time to get yourself organised and set up for Christmas. And there's definitely still an opportunity for your organisation to raise the funds over the Christmas period. So there's a few things that I want to walk you through to get you set up for success. And then I will introduce you to our CEO, Jeremy Tobias, and he will talk through the tech and how you can set yourselves up for success. So I am going to walk you through the game plan. So there's a few really key techniques and steps that you can do before you begin your campaign. It's really important to just take a step back and assess what your charity is, what your story is, who you are, and how to tell your story successfully so that your donors really resonate with you. So there's a few key steps. And these are just things about telling your story, working out who your audience is, mapping out what your channels are, just deciding how much you actually want to raise, and just mapping out some of your content as well. So I might begin with step one. So step one is to tell your story. It's really important to go through a couple of elements with your donors. So ask the question why. Why would people care about your organisation? Why do people want to give? So really start with a clear story about who you are and what it is that you specialise in, so that people want to give and they want to be a part of your community. The second part of telling your story is to find a hero. So the way that you find a hero is to choose a person or the benefactors that you support every day and really dial into what it is that you are doing to help them. So at the moment, there are a lot of bushfires, and we work with animal charities who are absolutely out there on the front lines helping the animals who have been affected by the fires. So this really gives them an opportunity to just talk about the work that they've done over the last week or so, and how they need support right now. And it just gives that really personal element to your story. Then the third element to telling your story well is to get some eye-catching graphics. So it's important to be able to tell your story in one image. Choose something that is really emotive. So often, you know, that will be either a really positive story or one that people want to step in and help. So choose something that will tell your story really quickly and powerfully, and something that will work on social as well. So the fourth element of how to tell your story is to just choose a really simple and powerful tagline. So if you could sum up what it is that you do in one sentence, what would that be? So whether you're out there, once again, on the front lines with the koalas in the forests, you know, that's really helpful, and people can resonate with that really quickly. So just to expand on this a little bit more, it's really important to make giving an experience. So you want to give your donors plenty of context, explain to them what the funds are for, how they can contribute, and how they can be part of your community. The second element is to just remember to, once you have set yourselves up, just make sure that you put your link in as many places as you can. So for example, on social, make sure that you pin the post on your social media. It just makes a really big difference. People can find you really quickly. And then the third element is to just on digital giving, make sure that it's really simple and easy for your donors to give. So make sure your donation page is secure, that it's got all of your branding on it, that people feel comfortable and secure to give to your charity. So the second step is to really tap into your audiences and work out who your audiences are to begin with. So it's sometimes charities think they know who their audiences are, and you know they can articulate that quite easily. But other charities actually don't really know where to start, and so some of the tips on how to do this is really to identify who your supporters are. So if you need to, you can clarify your personas for this campaign. So for example, one of the easiest ways to do this is to just think about the age group of who you're trying to target. What this does is it allows you to just clarify the tone of voice and the style of interaction. So if you're focused on young people, then you're going to be really fun and use really informal language. If your donor group is much more traditional, then you're going to give a lot more information. Your stories will be longer, and you will just slightly change the style of your posts and your emails and your content for your donors. One of the other elements to outlining who your audiences are is to think about where they find their information, what their interests are. So, for example, there are a lot of groups on Facebook that you can go and find where your donors are and what they're interested in. So things like mothers groups or environmental groups or animal rescue groups. These types of places really show what people care about and how you can tell your story to resonate with them. And the third element of mapping out who your ideal donors are is to find out which channels they're really active on. So often establishing charities will have audiences on social. And over time, you will absolutely build up a much more robust list of donors. So you'll begin to develop an email list, and you'll have a robust website, and you can start collecting mobile numbers so that you can send to their mobiles. So the third step is to map out your channels. So once you know who you want to reach, how are you going to reach them and where do they live? So I'm just going to keep this really simple. So the best thing about digital is that you can reach your donors really quickly and directly where they generally go to find their information. So some donors really respond to email. They live in their inbox and they will respond really quickly. And they know that the information has been targeted directly to them. Other people live on social and they share publicly all of the day-to-day things that they're doing, and they will resonate really strongly with their friends, the charities that they support. Also, some people will find you just on a Google search, so it's important on your website to have a place where people can give. Over time, you will build up lists with mobile numbers, and what you can do is send then an SMS to your supporters. So just think about what channels you want to use and how to reach your donors. So the fourth element is to just think about how much you want to raise. So it's really important to set some of your fundraising goals. So to do this, to set some achievable targets, it's just important for you to map out how much you want for your charity for this campaign. So some people think about, you know, what is it that we need to raise in the next 3 to 6 months, for example, and that becomes your internal target. So it's how much your team talk about and want to raise internally. And then you can decide whether or not you want to publish that externally. So for example, some charities will say, this is our target and we want to reach this, and you can put a live thermometer bar on the donation page so that your donors can actually track and be part of that community to raise those funds together. So that collective fundraising is really, it builds really fast momentum, and sometimes those targets are a stretch for your organisation, but it definitely encourages people to give and to give as a crowd. So the other side of setting your fundraising goals is really important to think about how much do you want to ask for. So when you want to clarify with your donors how much to give, what you want to do is set really clear, tangible amounts that people will want to give. So just think about, you know, how much those dollar handles will be, and just refer to them throughout your content. So on your email, say this: if you give this much, it will help us have this much impact. So just map out what your communication will be and how much people want to give, and then it's much easier to talk about help us save, you know, 20 koalas, for example, with this funds. So now we're at almost the last sort of step in before you set up. So the content is really important. If you just want to think about the tempo of the content across all of your channels, so a lot of charities will have just social media. So if your audiences are mainly on social, then what you want to do is, in the lead up to Christmas, you want to plan to have 2 or 4 social posts. So one that launches your campaign, some updates, and then one right towards the end. And on your website, you absolutely want to have one main donation page. And just, you know, one of the tips is right now, it's a really good idea. If you haven't done anything on digital before, just go to your donation page and check that it actually works. Often we have charities that come to us and say, oh, we've got a donation page, and we'll go to their website and it's actually, the link is broken, or it's not working, or it, you know, it doesn't actually work. So one of the first things to do, check your donation page, make sure that it's working. And if not, you can set one up really easily. Just the tempo, if you do have a more established email list, so if you've got a broader audience, the other side of this content is to plan out your email approach and your social and your website. So on emails, we talk about 1 to 3 waves of emails, and you would support these on social, and also you would use your website once again to attract those donations. So I just want to give you just a really quick little countdown calendar for Christmas. So this is just giving you a little bit of a background as to when you would actually post. So looking at Christmas, what we would suggest, Tuesday the 3rd of December. It's really, you know, a month to go, but it's also Giving Tuesday. So this is a really nice time to send that first email, to set up your donation page and really launch your Christmas campaign. You can do that by having a social post and an email, and just getting your charity link out there to begin with. Then what you want to do is follow up the week after and say, it's 2 weeks to go before Christmas, and once again send an update email, just give a little bit of a progress report on how things are going, and you want to do this on social as well. Then the week following, Wednesday the 18th of December, is 1 week to go before Christmas. Things really start to build some momentum now. You want to send that email, you want to have a supporting social post, just to build that momentum. And then on Friday, the 20th, of December. It's 5 days to go before Christmas. So we know this Christmas rush is really important, but people want to give before Christmas so that they know that it's done and they can go and enjoy their holidays. So we would suggest sending an SMS to your donors if you've got that list just before Christmas and giving them that opportunity to give directly from their phone. So now to bring all of this together, I'm going to hand over to our CEO, Jeremy Tobias, and he's going to talk about our tech toolkit. So I'm just going to switch the camera over so that you can see. Let's see if I can do this. We'll just do this here. Okay, so we can see you. And I'm just going to put this at the front. Okay, perfect.
Great.
All right, so I'll hand you over to Jeremy.
Thanks so much, Tamara, and welcome to everyone on the webinar today. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you're enjoying the content so far. So what I'm going to do, Tamara's really touched on the strategy and how to map out the content. I mean, we've really designed and curated the content in this webinar for those organizations that haven't sort of started their Christmas campaign. We're aware that there's a whole bunch of you that have started, but this is just going to give you, I'm going to focus on the technology, focus on the channels, and how you can, once you've come up with the what, why, how, and your audiences, how you can then roll this out and make it simple to give across digital. So we'll just wait till it switches over. It's coming, promise. So yeah, I'm going to talk really about channels. I'm going to talk about donation pages. I'm going to talk about emails, touch on social, and for those organizations that have an SMS list, a mobile list, I'm going to show you some examples of how to set up the tech. Given that you've done the marketing, you've worked out how and why and the story, you now need to convert your donors. And I feel like a whole lot of charities do all the tough work, all the collateral and the marketing. They just assume that the donor will actually fill out that form on their website or via an email. Yeah, they're wrong. We live in a digital society where donors, charities are competing against corporates for donations, especially at Christmas time with gifts. So it's really important that you're tailoring the donation experience across all of your channels. So I'm just going to show you a donation page from Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. I love it. It's simple. It's easy. It's 15-30 minutes to prepare, to be honest, and they've got a donation page for Christmas. They've got a nice banner at the top of the page, really clean donation form. I know that my money is going to the Christmas appeal. Christmas is mentioned numerous times on this page, and they've got some imagery down the bottom. So I know when I land on this page, my money is going to their Christmas appeal. It's clean, it's simple, it's easy to do. Let's look at Royal Flying Doctors. I show this example. This is Royal Flying Doctors, Queensland. It's really important that you tailor both the desktop and the mobile experience to give. You want to make it as simple and easy to give if your donors land on mobile. And that actually means giving your donors a different experience to desktop. Desktop, they want to understand the story. They want to see the powerful video, the imagery. Mobile, they just want to give. Sure, if they want to learn more about the story, they scroll down below the donation fold and they can see the pictures and the imagery, but you need a different donation experience of desktop and mobile. So I've quickly shown what I would say is two really clean donation pages for Christmas, both really simple to create, both tailor the mobile experience, both it's super clear, as Tamara said, that it is Christmas, and they've articulated the why on the page. But if I just want to give, I can give really simply and easily. and I can also find out a little bit about a bit more of the story. Let's talk about emails. I think I've seen a lot of progression with charities over emails over the last 12 months. Gone are the days where a donor out there just wants to see a beautifully branded email from your organization. They want to see personable touch emails that talk about where the funds are going. And I would advise you to, potentially try and experiment with emails. If you're already sending out emails to your donors, why not experiment with a forward email or an email from your CEO as a last chance to donate email? I think it's really important that there are numerous buttons in the email for donations, not right at the bottom, not just one button buried at the end of the email. Majority of people or some of your donors just want to give. They will read the first 2 lines, they're in a generous mode, they want to see a donation button. If they don't see one after halfway through the email, they're going to drop off. So make it Christmas centric, the email. Experiment with your subject lines, experiment with the copy, experiment with sending it from different people within your organizations. Make it personable and not too long. Don't just copy and paste if you're doing any direct mail or anything that you've briefed any agency or any Word document. Don't copy and paste the whole long blurb into an email. You need to tailor the experience. As Tamara talked about dollar handles, we acknowledge not every organization out there has tangible dollar handles to use, but if you do have them, use them. They get results, whether it's personalized amounts based on last gift, or whether it's in the case of Borneo orangutans, who we've now worked with for a number of years, really tangible. Where is my money going? $50 helps give healthy food for one orangutan, etc., etc. This email I like, it was actually from last year, but it's really clear that they've got a shortfall of $24,000, as Tamara talked about. What is your goal? And how far away are you from reaching that goal? Let's talk about social quickly. Yeah, social is interesting. We do a lot of work with a whole bunch of grassroots organizations on social. We've cracked it on social. We know what works. What works is unbelievably emotive storytelling. We've tested a whole lot of stuff, and unless your brand is willing to go all out there with a social post, it's really tough. I understand that doesn't suit all brands, but for those that can talk about urgent funds, shortfall, we desperately need your money, asking for $5 to $10 or an emotive dollar handle that's below 25 on social does get results. Of course, your community does need to be living on social. So I would advise you, if you can, to start building those channels and to start strategizing as to what your board and management are happy with you writing on social, because it's an amazing channel. But if it's about donations, and I get it, for some of you, it's where your stakeholders, patients live, so you need to be cautious and careful. But if you can use emotive language, it works really well. I'm just going to touch on some elements to the donation page, probably to take it to the next level. We like to gamify donation pages. For those of you out there, we're running a Mates for Mates giving day at the moment. I'd ask you to check it out, maybe chuck them some dollars. They've already reached their target after 2 hours of their giving day, but you don't need to run a giving day to gamify the donation experience. Having a countdown timer on your page with 5 days to go before Christmas that you can switch on and off. If you've got a shortfall with a $5,000 still to go, put up a live thermometer bar on the page. And of course, if you do have match funding is hot at the moment. I understand it is hard to get. You put a multiplier on the page. Again, on our platform, it's widgets that you can turn on or off. So you don't need to start with a matched amount. You don't need to start with a thermometer bar, but they definitely gamify the experience and raise you more money. Another example for a cute wombat charity where we raised $64,000 in about 3 days on social. Again, for those of you out there that have PayPal, our platform integrates with PayPal. You should be using PayPal. Approximately 20% of our volume is through PayPal, and there are a number of donors out there who will not donate or pay for anything in general without PayPal. Comments are cool. Comments make people feel part of the community. Comments are easy to implement. You can send messages of support to your ambassadors through comments, or get your supporters to show messages of support to your ambassador or to your charity, which you can then use for future campaigns on social, and potentially to corporates for some match funding. Hey, look at the great work we're doing, and we're being acknowledged by our donors for our great work. So where the opportunity arises, it's crowdfunding, right? But you can take this to your appeal and run with it. Match giving, I talked about it just a short time ago. This was from the Shepherd Centre last year. I like this page. It's simple but effective. I go to the donation page. I see that it's around Christmas. Help Christmas wishes come true for twice as many families in need. I know that if I'm donating, twice as many families in need this year will be able to be helped compared to last year. There's a match multiplier on the page, and above the donation fold, double your gift this Christmas. Two presents. I feel good, warm and fuzzy. It ticks the boxes. And they also have a nice video on the page, which opens not in YouTube, because that's not where you want your donors. You want them still on the donation page. They watch the video, they finish watching the video, and then they make a donation. I'm going to talk about SMS, and again, you know, this webinar is really around digital fundraising for beginners. So I understand some of you may only have a couple hundred SMS numbers or none, and that's okay. But SMS is mainstream. I would be urging you to think about at least putting an optional mobile phone field on your website donation page to capture SMS numbers for future campaigns. We've nailed the SMS formula at GiveEasy. 98% of SMSs are read. So it's a great way to get to your donors' pockets just before Christmas, especially as email read rates are on the decline. You can personalize the copy of the SMS. It goes to a pre-filled donation form, making it super simple to give. This was an example from Youth Off the Streets last Christmas. You know, we're still short. They sent this out a day before Christmas. You understand where the funds are going, and it just works. Really simple form. We pre-fill that form just to make it really simple to give. So I've talked about some channels. I've showed you some beautiful donation pages which are simple to set up and make it easy for your donors to pay. I've shown you some examples of some emails and encourage you to think about how you can tailor those communications, how you can make it more personable, how you can test some forwards, some emails from your CEO or from your child's parents that you're helping. I've showed you why you need to make social urgent if you can to get donations. And we've also gone through why SMS is so strong and is a great last chance donation tool. Again, you can track everything, and it's really important that you track everything. So at the end of the campaign, or even during the campaign, you know which of your channels has worked best. There's actually nothing worse. Sure, you've got the money in the bank after Christmas, but how do you plan for your next campaign? How do you grow your digital fundraising if you actually have no idea where that funds have come from? As Tamara talked about, it's around working out which channels are where your donors live. Perhaps social isn't for your organization, but you won't be able to spend money or speak to your management and board without actually knowing, hands down, through tracking, where your donors are and where you should invest the time, and potentially where there are weak spots where you should be investing more time. I'm just going to finish off with what I think is just as important, if not more important than what I've been through, which is saying thanks. I'm talking about saying thanks when through the thank you page, to be a branded thank you page with a video or an image, potentially allowing them to share their donation on social, making them feel part of the pack, part of the community. I'm talking about a beautiful donation receipt that is branded around Christmas, not just your generic donation receipt that you go through. And then I think one thing where you can stand out from the crowd, and it's not difficult to do, and you will look amazing because the sector, even the larger organizations in Australia aren't doing it properly, is the follow-ups, is a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, a month before you're next asked, hey, Jeremy, your $50 donation that you gave at Christmas, we've been able to go on a journey with the beneficiary, and this is the end result. There is nothing better than receiving an email from a charity that's not asking for a donation, but is just saying thanks, and it sets you up for your next campaign, and perhaps they'll then become a regular giver or a community fundraiser, or even leave a bequest to your organization down the future. Here's just some examples. Personalize the steps, thank you page, receipt, potentially sending them an SMS. There are a number of ways to do it. You're probably not going to invest in direct mail to send an SMS. So again, it's around, you're not going to invest in direct mail to send a thank you. So it's around what digital tools can you use. A video from the CEO, really simple to film, right? You don't need to be spending a lot of money. A video from where the funds are going, things like that are worth spending the time, because your donors, you want to retain your donors as you build up your digital strategy. I'm just going to finish on this slide as again, Samara went through it. This is really designed for those organizations that haven't set up yet for Christmas. A whole bunch of charities have already launched. You know, some larger organizations launched the last week in October. I do feel at the moment, unfortunately, with the fires that are burning, a number of organizations have decided to put on hold their plans and launch next week. I think that's a really good alternative. So there's still time, right? Christmas is not in the air yet from a public point of view. Christmas really starts in that last week in November, beginning of December. So that if you haven't set up, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to go through the strategy with you, and we'd love you to sign up. Go on our platform. It's self-serve. You can get a donation page up in 30 minutes to an hour and look like a hero at Christmas time. Thank you very much for being on this webinar. Tamara and I wish you all the best for Christmas and your upcoming digital strategy into 2020. If there are any questions, please type them in. And yeah, get in touch, jeremy@giveeasy.org or on our website, and we'd love to see what we can raise you and help you on the journey at Christmas time, because Christmas is a time for giving. I'll leave it there. If there are questions, please type them in the chat box. I'll just wait for 15 seconds and then we will probably sign off. So last minute for questions.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We've really enjoyed mapping this out for you. Really what we specialize in is being able to plan the strategy so that you can really reach your donors wherever they live. And then we have the tech where you can set up really easily, have a branded experience and start raising those funds at any time. So if you are yet to set up for Christmas, give us a call or reach out anytime. and we'll speak to you soon. Thanks so much. See ya.